What's going on, everybody? Today I want to talk about how Kanye was upset that his label released his album without his permission and why they were able to do that. The reason they were able to do that because they own the masters. Now, if you've been following my channel, you've been following my content, I talk a lot about intellectual property and property ownership. You have to look at songs and the material that you make in the same light that you do real estate. This is digital real estate that we're creating here. You can lease it, you can rent it, you could even sell it for an exclusive or a small window of time, like a semi-exclusive. You could do a lot of deals with this music. So every time that we create songs, you're creating a license. Now, you create two rights. You're creating the publishing and you're creating the master recording rights, right? So his label owns the master recording. So when he records songs, they own them. They get to do whatever they want to do with their property. So when they initially signed him to a record deal, how many albums, they put in a clause that they own his masters. Now, why is that? Kanye is a billionaire. But when you're early in your career and somebody puts up the money for you, they own the property. He still might own a portion of his publishing, but there's a lot of interviews going around with Kanye even saying that every time he does music, he loses money. He loses money. And this is the reason being is that when you become, or you have a certain network, the time that you put in a certain thing, for example, like if you make $1 million, right, a year, every hour is worth like $500. So if I do a job for $200 an hour, I'm losing money. So the important key to take away is property ownership. Whenever you do a deal, you are selling your property. This is important. Not only are you selling your property, but the money that they give you for it, you would have to determine whether it's worth it or not. For example, a lot of labels, if they give you $1 million, they want 10 back. They give you 150,000, they want 1.5, 1.6 back. It's just that simple. They're more venture capital firms than, I would say, loan sharks. So, to put up $1 million to make back 10 is an incredible investment. But they have to do that because not a lot of artists win. They're just trying to find a Drake or a Beyonce or a Kanye out of the mix because in this music industry, it's only 20% of the artists that drive 80% of the revenue. So we have to just be mindful of that. So they sell a ton of artists. The rest are tax write-offs. So make sure that you position yourself to own your masters. And if I could give you guys the best tip to avoid this is learn how to sell. Because if you learn how to sell your brand and sell yourself and sell your music, you would never ever have to rely on a label. You would never ever have to sell your property. Because the name of business and creating generational wealth is maintaining property ownership. That is important because yes, you could still, they might buy into your publishing by giving you that $1 million deal. They might say, hey, we want 25%, or they might do a 360 deal. 360 deals are super, super popular these days. I don't know why, but they might say, hey, we want a piece of everything. Is that $1 million worth what it needs to be worth? And then a lot of times labels are not signing if you don't already have a buzz. So labels are smart enough to understand that we won't sign you unless you're already ready to be monetized. You have to think about that, because labels are not developing artists. They're leaving it up to other people to develop artists. What I see that's super popular when I ran a studio is that artists had no problem finding investors. The money is not the problem so much. It's about being ready to be monetized, which is the issue. Because I've seen investors pour hundreds of thousands and even millions of dollars into the artist and they not work. Labels don't want to do that anymore. They want other people to do it, and then they want to come on the back end and use their resources to take it to the next level, which I don't think that they do a good job of all of the time. Some still do. You have labels that still do a pretty good job, that still have pretty good teams. But all in all, protect your property with your life. Make sure that you create your ability to sell, because if you always have the ability to sell, you'll never ever need a record deal if you don't want one. Record deals can be advantageous in certain situations, but if you don't want one, you don't need one. So it's Fedarro. maintain your masters, maintain your master recording. It's super important. I'm gonna holler at you later.